Please like us on Facebook or press the subscribe button as well on YouTube so you can keep abreast about the latest issues affecting Laredo. And today we're very lucky, we're very fortunate to have our own mayor, Mayor Pete Saenz, for being here. Thank you for being here, Mayor.
Mr. Garza, thank you for the invitation. I always enjoyed to visit with you.
So do we. I think that you've been there almost 8 years. You have a lot of stories to tell us. We're not going to be able to go through all the stories, but certainly the highlights of some of them. But I want to thank you again for being such a good mayor and for doing the best you can considering the circumstances through COVID and through other situations. There may be some naysayers out there, but at least that's how I feel about it. Having said that, Mayor, I do want to talk about the first issue. You got 2-3 months left in your term. You had the opportunity now, hindsight, about figuring out what were the legacy or what were the highlights for the last 8 years.
Well, thank you, Judge, for the opportunity to go deep, I guess, and try to bring out some of the highlights that we encountered, but the challenges as well. When I first went in, what brought me into politics? I never thought I would be running for mayor, but I did. And thank you to the public for the honor and the privilege of serving as your mayor for the last 7, almost 8 years now. But I thought that we could improve on transparency, bringing that trust back to City Hall. It's been difficult and challenging as we speak as well. But I think we've made progress along those lines. Before we had no public accountability. Now we have online accounting where you can see basically every
so pretty much everything is transparent. All your bidding, anything that's out there for bids is transparent.
It is, and that's and that's not necessarily me. I mean, we push for that, but then other people that ran for council also push for that as well. So I think we've improved along those lines. Also, too, I think some highlights is the fact that the economy is a lot better. Yes, we're still poor. When I first went in, and I'm not saying that it was a result of us here locally. It was basically, the national policies, state policies that made the border area a lot better economically. The poverty rate, if you recall, 8 years ago was in the 30s, 31, 32 for quite some time. And then pre-COVID, it came down to a 19% poverty rate. And the current median income for a family of 4 is now in the 50s, 52, 53,000 per family, which is a significant improvement. We have a lot to do. Poverty was the main issue that I also ran on when I first came in. I got the Harvard people.
But the poverty rate was about 33% back in 2010. In 2020, it's gone down all the way to about 19%.
19%, which is a huge, significant improvement. And again, thanks to obviously council and mayor, should take credit as well. But it's primarily national policies that are in play, and of course we appreciate that too. But again, when I first became mayor, I wanted to see who the face of poverty, who was really being impacted by, who was the poor. And Harvard Bloomberg did a study. We were able to get them, and it turned out to be single mothers with 2 children, if you recall that study.
Yes.
So we started focusing on that demographic.
Well, of course, the per capita income though is still low at 19,000. That's something that needs to be worked on in the future.
Well, 19,000 per person per capita,
right.
correct? But you're right. It's
but it is an improvement compared to 8 years ago when we were in that situation. What particular projects, physical projects that you can think of right now that has improved the lives of Laredo that you're aware of?
Well, the economy overall, which we've spoken about, but also too, we got to remember that we are the number 1 land port, and I guess people here locally are probably tired of hearing that, but it's important. Over $250 billion worth of trade traverses our bridges. That in itself is the primary engine for the city of Laredo. That stems into transportation, logistics, warehousing, cold storage areas, and although the workers there could use some help also in increasing their their salaries too, and I work very closely with the industry too to spread the wealth because those people do very well.
They do
Yeah.
very well, I'm sure. But that industry is going to keep growing for Laredo. I just think it just seems to be.
And I'm glad you bring that up. About 2 weeks ago, Governor Abbott was here, and he made it a point to state that the overall consensus of the nation, the state, is to actually learn from the lesson that COVID taught us, that we were so dependent on the Asian markets, especially the supply chains.
Right.
So there's a movement now to onshoring, nearshoring, bringing those companies here close to the U.S. and what else but the USMCA? I mean, we have structure here, so that means that the border is going to even grow even quicker. We're told that that Laredo alone within 20 years is going to double in size. We're about 270 now, so you can.
Well, we're
imagine.
crossing 16,000 trailers daily.
Okay, we
back and
expect
forth.
much more.
That's expected to grow up to about 28,000 or so in the next 7 to 8
See,
years.
currently we have peak days of 18,000
Right.
per day, Mr. Garza. So the future is bright for Laredo. What worries us now, obviously, is the inflation and that sort of thing, but hopefully that'll curtail. We do have border issues, as you know.
Yes, we live on the border. We have
but-
special issues.
And I've always said that too. Every president brings their own policies, so we have to just adjust.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's why I consider myself an independent, and I just, view the needs of my city and apply whatever policies are out there that will favor our city.
community.
Yeah.
Well, what we're going to do, we're going to take a short break and we'll be right back with the mayor. We are going to talk a little bit about the immigration and talk about what his future plans are as well.
Thank you.
Is to absorb the potential medical
Right, and we
situation.
ask Border Patrol, please, take them to other communities where they can be helped, where they've
Right.
got hospital space, but they wouldn't do it. So we as a city, took that initiative to take them to other NGOs,
Right.
Houston and
But
Austin.
there were no problems
Dallas.
because you were not taking them out of state. You were just basically getting some assistance because of COVID.
Some help for them because they weren't being tested. We didn't have the means or the resources yet at that point to test every migrant that was coming in. So luckily, it kind of worked itself through, and of course, we wish the best for everyone.
Right.
And as a city, we're not against migration, but it's got to be orderly done. And
you also have a good relation with the local Border Patrol
Oh,
agents.
very much so.
I mean, and that takes me to the other question, Mayor. And the other question is, the next mayor who comes to take your seat has to have some diplomatic relationships, or has to have a good disposition to be able to get along with other people, to be able to get along with everyone.
The key for me is that I'm nonpartisan. I try to, just focus on my city. Some people put party over the needs of our city. When Trump was president, you try to work the best you can given the needs that we have. Now Biden is here. Personally speaking, I think there's a splendid opportunity for the Biden administration to really help us with this virtual wall that we've always been behind. The community of Laredo wants a virtual wall, but yet, we don't see much movement there.
Right.
And I'm concerned that November will come along. The elections may prove something different. So that worries me somewhat because I think this notion of this wall, it may come back to haunt us if we don't do something now.
Well, for now, there is no wall.
Correct. No, there's no wall, but for now,
For
and
now.
I think that's a qualifying statement.
Yeah, for now. But it may be an issue, and it may be something that might come back and revisit.
And this is why Biden needs to move. And I've been saying, send us resources, send whatever. And the project is this binational park, which lends itself for border security, but yet to reclaim our
Now, the
ecology.
financial park, is that going to be under your term, or is that going to be for the new?
No, well, it started basically.
Under your.
But of course, that's a long term. You'll probably see 2, 3, 4 mayors. But the key here, and I want to set it straight, we're asking the federal government to finance the majority of that binational park. We locally really can't.
Right. Well,
finance it.
my discussion with city officials, or some people that I've talked to, they keep telling me we cannot finance a project like that. Is that something that you agree with? That something has to be a federal issue?
Yes, and it was born out of the ambassador, Ken Salazar. He basically said, look, federally we can be of great help, and especially if we couch it in terms of border security.
Right.
And through this virtual wall. It's a different way of approaching the wall situation,
Right.
As we had with the prior president.
Right.
So anyway, we can spend hours on
No,
this.
I mean, that's a very, but I was curious to know, but it takes someone like who has the right, this personal disposition to be able to negotiate with national leaders, international leaders,
Right.
and local people,
No.
to be a mayor.
No, yeah, absolutely. A mayor, thank goodness, I was trained as a lawyer. I
Yeah.
think I've negotiated settlements.
Yes.
I feel very capable, but I've applied those skills with whoever I encountered with the issues that were created here in
The
the
reason
city.
I mention is because there are several candidates running for mayor who may have issues on whether or not, or we question whether or not they have the disposition to be able to negotiate or be able to talk to other organizations or other political leaders on both sides of the river.
Right. And that's important too. As a mayor, I made it a point to make Laredo be known as the #1 land port. We were at the time.
Right.
So, and I've stated that any movement, any meeting dealing with the border, Laredo had to be there.
Right.
And I invested the time and the effort, and I think we've accomplished that. Our relationship with Mexico, 8 years ago before I came, was hardly, it didn't exist. They didn't see the value, and now we know the value that
Well,
Mexico.
my old friend Honorary Ligado, who passed away many, many years ago, said Laredo exists because of the Pan American Highway. You take away the Pan American Highway, we're in no man's land. And there's a lot to be said about that. It's true. The I-35 is the key to Laredo's growth.
Yeah, but it's a relationship too. It's just how we interact with our neighbors.
You have
to the
to.
south. Yeah, we must. That's our destiny.
Yeah, that is our destiny.
So we need to
You might
embrace it.
embrace it, and and make it grow. Definitely.
Correct.
In closing, Mayor, what happens? I did not get a chance to talk to you about the issues of city managers. I'm hopeful that we come back to talk to you about that, but that's a major.
Yeah, the key is let the managers manage, mayor and council members. Don't meddle. Don't meddle.
Yes.
And
if they do, they should be reported or something, because there has to be some type of system to keep the council or other people from meddling into city affairs and not allowing the city manager to do his job.
And if that's the case, then the ethics commission needs to be revamped. To be honest with you, because really, personally speaking, it's a joke now.
Yeah.
So this is why I recommended maybe going outside to a district court or a county court of law to
assist in
for
the
oversight. Yeah.
Well, that's something that needs to be looked at, Mayor. In closing, Mayor, of course, you got 2-3 more months left. What happens then, Mayor, with you? What are you going to do?
Well, that's a good question. I really rest, spend more time. I put some personal business on hold for 8 years because I don't want conflicts with the city or the government or this or that. So I may be pushing some of those business things that I kind of placed on hold. And who knows? And once I'm rested, I feel still very capable, and I've gained so much information. I feel very comfortable with the border.
Right.
To be honest with you, something
you
that
can
deals
just
with
say
the
it, Mayor.
border.
You're going to run again for some other position.
No.
You can just say that right now. Just tell us.
No, I'm not sure. To be honest with you, but
you're not closing the door.
I'm not closing the door. Thank you, and I appreciate to all the viewers and listeners of the fact that you gave me this opportunity to be a mayor, and that I'll always cherish and take with me until I die.
Well, thank you, Mayor. We appreciate you did a great job. We look forward to seeing more of you in the near future.
I appreciate
Hopefully
that
you'll
very
be
much.
around after your term. You can certainly still bring a lot to the discussion. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
We'll take a short break. We'll be right back with one of the candidates running for mayor in a few minutes. Welcome back to 24/7 Laredo Border Chronicles. We're very fortunate to have our candidate, Mercurio Martinez, Merc Martinez III, who is here to join us. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you making it. This is the first time you actually come out on the show. I don't think we've had your dad several times.
Sure.
Your dad is just amazing.
I think Dad was one of your first.
Yes,
interviews
yes, he was.
you
And
had.
you know what? Great gentleman. I
Yeah,
only
that
got
he
good
is.
things to say.
That he is.
Having said that, again, many people may not know who you are. They may know you in the Heights area because you represent the Heights. I live in the Heights area, but many people may not know who you are. Could you tell them a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm Mercurio Martinez III, and my friends call me Merc. So you can call me Merc.
Okay.
I grew up at Nixon High School, is where I went. Grew up in the La Azteca neighborhood. And as a young teen, we moved over to Las Lomas, and I went to Ryan Elementary School, Blessed Sacrament, Ryan Elementary School, Lamar,
All the schools
Nixon
in the Heights.
Annex, Nixon. And then I left Laredo to go get educated at St. Edward's University. That's where my grandfather graduated from in 1898. And so I felt the need to go and represent this city over there in St. Edward's. And follow the legacy that my grandfather started way back in 1898.
Wow.
And but I came back. I came back to Laredo, and just as I was taught by my father, is to give back to the community that has given you so much. And I've been blessed to be able to be put in that position. First as a private citizen and joining all sorts of clubs and organizations, et cetera, and making Laredo just a little bit more pleasant to be in. And then, of course, I ran for city council, and here I am as a councilman. And it hasn't stopped. I could be sitting back and watching it happen, or I can make it happen. And that's the type of person I am. I want to make it happen. You know, that Laredo is the #1 inland port in the country. And we need to shout from the highest building and let everybody know who Laredo is and what we represent and who we are. It's very important. And so,
Now, of course, you were here. I think you may have heard some of the mayor's discussion on Laredo's future. He has a very bright, he has a very high regards for the city. Do you think that Laredo will be able to meet its challenges dealing with transportation, maybe the water issues? I didn't get a chance to talk to the mayor about the water issues. Do you think we can resolve some of those issues in the next 3 to 4 years?
absolutely. Absolutely. You know, when I became a council member about 3 months into it, I came home from dinner. My wife and I went to go out to dinner on Fridays, and it's about 11:30 at night, and I saw a geyser of water right in front of my house, and the water was spewing taller than the telephone poles.
Mhm.
And so I called it in, and utilities came in. They turned off the water, and they dug a hole at about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. As I'm looking at the pipes, the exposed pipes, I ask the utilities employees that are there, how old is that pipe? And they asked me, how old is your house? Well, my house was built in 1952. Well, that's a very old pipe, you know, full of Band-Aids, et cetera.
Yeah.
So at that point, that Monday, I was talking to the utilities director about why hasn't anything been done about the pipes in our city? And the utilities director at the time told me, Councilman, for the last 15 years, I've been bringing it to council, and you know, they haven't done anything about it. So at that point, we decided to do something about it. And this year, this next month, we're going to be breaking ground so we could start the replacement of all of the pipes. We first started with replacing the tanks at Lion Street. And
Right.
you well
Yeah,
know, since
right.
you grew up there, there are 2 tanks. And if people that don't know our area,
Right.
they know Mary Help, and there's some 2 huge tanks there. And usually what the water company does, once they clean the water and send it through, they fill up those tanks. And then from those tanks, they fill up all of the other tanks.
Right.
Well, one of those tanks was completely empty. And so we've already collapsed that one and we built a new one.
Right.
And as soon as that one is online, we're going to collapse the second one because it was only operating at half capacity. And so we'll collapse that
Well,
one
let
and
me
build a
ask you,
new one.
are we planning, is the city planning to replace all the pipes or they're identifying certain areas?
Well, you eventually you have to look at your infrastructure systems. There's over 500 miles of pipe
Yes.
in this community, and so you have to identify the areas. It's very, very similar to your 1 year you want to paint, and so you paint the outside. Maybe the next year you paint inside, or you take a couple of rooms and you do some and you do some improvements. But every year you're going to have to do something, and they should have been done years ago. We're already starting that process. We have to fix it. It's imperative that we fix our aging water system.
Does that mean that, does the new budget cover all these repairs that you're
It
talking about?
absolutely
all the way
does. It absolutely does. We can't do it all at once. So we start a process of this year, we're going to do so many
Right.
replacement. The next year,
It just
following.
seems that it always
And when we're
falls
done at
on-
the end of the term, we have to start all
Right.
over again.
It just seems like always, it's always the same area,
Mhm.
either the Heights or South Laredo. In terms of, we have
Because if you look at the progression of Laredo started in the downtown area, and as we started to grow, it went into the St. Peter's area, and as we started to grow, it went west, and then we crossed over the creek, and we came into the Heights area. And so the Heights was built in around the 1950s, 1930s.
Right, 1930s.
1930s is when the Montrose area started
Right,
to come
exactly. I
online.
remember
And
that.
so if you start looking at the pipes there, they're cast iron pipes.
yes.
And so they need to be replaced.
But it just seems to me, and I guess I'm not really asking for a response, more like a comment. That it just seems that the north side, maybe they had a water district, of course, back in the
In
day,
the 70s.
The 70s, they had a water. So they always
Del
had
Mar came in
to.
the
They have a better system in dealing with water. And now with this new big site that they have on the north side, they don't have issues with water. On the
No,
north side.
we fixed the Pico water plant.
Right, but we have city councilmen on the south side. And why didn't these issues get raised earlier?
It's when you do an improvement and it's underground, nobody sees it. But if you do an improvement on a park, oh, my councilman is working for me. I get criticized by some of my opponents, and particularly one opponent, that I've done nothing. Really? Improving a park is one thing, but improving the infrastructure of the city is another thing. And we must improve the infrastructure of the city, especially as it's aging. So we need you got to maintain your house, and your house is very important.
Yes. Well, all I can suggest to you that it just seems to me that I wish we could solve the water issues in the south, so we don't have to be bringing that issue over and over.
That's one of my priorities.
Yeah.
We got to fix our aging water system, our pipes, the way we clean our water, the way we distribute our water. We have to do that. It's imperative. And it's one of my plans to get this done within the
Thank
next
you.
4
Well,
years.
Merc, unfortunately, our episode, I've been told I've already ran over my time, so I'm gonna have to go.
What?
Yes, we
I'm
didn't
just
get a
getting
chance.
started.
I agree with you, but the mayor took a lot of our time. But I want to let you know that the door is always open.
Well,
I really am looking forward to talking to you about the water issue, a little bit more intense about it. By the way, where can people find you?
they can find me. Well, I'm everywhere. I don't stop. I wake up at 5 a.m. and I get going. I take a shower. I go exercise, take a shower, and then I hit the streets and I'm talking to people.
I'm telling you,
The mayor of the city of Laredo has to be the biggest cheerleader in Washington and in Austin, and I am that cheerleader.
well,
We need to bring businesses to this community.
exactly. You're saying very good words. I'm thinking the public will watch that and hopefully they'll accept those types of words because we need a mayor who can do exactly what you're
We need a
saying.
mayor that can communicate with
Yes,
people.
exactly.
Absolutely.
So I'm
Yeah, bring
I'm
people together.
going to put you on my first list for the next time because I really want us to finish this conversation. There's a lot more to talk to you about. There's a lot of things that Merc, that you've done. I look forward for the public knowing about it some more.
I look forward to telling the public as to where and what direction we need to be in.
Well, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and end the episode. I just want to let you all know, of course, that please press the like button or the subscribe button so you can get more of the same issue episodes that are coming in. We're going to be going once or twice a week between now and Election Day. Please keep watching the program so you can hear the latest on all the candidates that are running for office. On behalf of 24/7 Laredo Board of Chronicles, I'm Jesus Garza. Thank you for watching.
And I'm Mercurio Martinez.
That's right. Thank you, Mercurio. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.